Hello, teacher.
Hello, Turbo Girl. Looks like you're all ready to learn more about fractions. Today, we are going to learn how to multiply fractions.
Okay.
Multiply the fraction 2/3 by the whole number 18. There are two methods to do this. Method 1. Multiply the numerator of the fraction with the whole number. 2 times 18 gives us 36. We now get 36 over 3. We solve that and we get the answer 12. Thus, 2/3 times 18 is equals to 12.
I see. What is the second method, teacher?
Method 2. First, make the whole number into a fraction. All whole numbers can be made into fractions by dividing them by 1. So 18 becomes 18 over 1. Now that there are two fractions, we can simplify the fractions by dividing the numerators and the denominators of both fractions by a common factor. In this case, the common factor is 3. When we divide the numerator 18 by 3, we get 6. And when we divide the denominator 3 by 3, we get 1. Now, we get the fractions 2 over 1 times 6 over 1. Since they are both numerators, we cannot further simplify them. Finally, we multiply 2 by 6, and we get the answer 12.
Teacher, let me try.
Okay, what is 5/6 times 42?
Using the first method, I multiply the numerator of the fraction with the whole number. 5 times 42 is equals to 210, which makes the sum 210 over 6. I solve that and I get the answer 35. Thus, 5 over 6 times 42 equals to 35.
Good work. Try solving 3/4 times 10 using the second method.
First, I make the whole number into a fraction by dividing it by 1. So, 10 becomes 10 over 1. I then simplify the fractions by dividing the numerators and the denominators of both fractions by a common factor. The common factor of 4 and 10 is 2. When I divide the numerator of 10 by 2, I get 5. And when I divide the denominator 4 by 2, I get 2. Now, I get the fractions 3 over 2 times 5 over 1. Since I cannot further simplify them, so I multiply 3 by 5 and I get 15, and then I divide 15 by 2. The answer is 7.5. Teacher, why do I need to learn how to multiply a whole number with a fraction?
This skill will come in useful when you need to do conversion of units of measurement. Turbo Girl?
Can you tell me more about that, teacher?
Okay, let's say we have here a rope of 2/5 meters long. Can you tell me how much is that in centimeters?
I know that 1 meter equals 100 centimeters, and I will have to find out how much is 2 over 5 of 100 centimeters.
That's right, Turbo Girl. To do that, we take 2/5 times 100 centimeters. Do you think you can do it?
I will try. I will first divide 100 by 1 to make it into a fraction. 100 over 1. Next, I simplify the fractions by dividing the numerators and the denominators of both fractions by a common factor. In this case, the common factor is 5. So, when I divide 100 by 5, I get 20. And when I divide the denominator 5 by 5, I get 1. Now, I get the fractions 2 over 1 times 20 over 1. Since they are both numerators, I cannot further simplify them. Finally, I multiply 2 by 20 and we get the answer 40. Therefore, 2 over 5 meter is equal to 40 centimeters.
Good work, Turbo Girl. Yes, in order to convert a fraction of a unit of measure, for example kilograms, into a smaller unit of measure, for example grams, in whole number, we have to take the fraction times the whole number. Try another question. Convert 58 kilometers into meters.
Okay, As 1 kilometer is equals to 1000 meter, I rewrite the sum as 5 over 8 times 1000 over 1. I then simplify them by dividing the numerators and the denominators of both fractions by a common factor. The common factor of 1008 is 8. So, I divide the numerator 1000 by 8 and I get 125. Then, when I divide the denominator 8 by 8, I get 1. Now, I get the fractions 5 over 1 times 125 over 1. Since they cannot be further simplified, I multiply 5 with 125. Therefore, 5 over 8 kilometer is equals to 625 meters.
TurboGo, do you understand what it means when you multiply one fraction with another?
I am not too sure. Can you please explain?
Sure. But before I explain myself, can you tell me what do we get if we take half times 3/5?
When I multiply half by 3 over 5, I take 1 times 3 and 2 times 5 to get 3 over 10.
That's great, TurboGo. Now can you color 3/5 of this rectangle purple?
Sure, there, it's done.
Good. Now shade half of the colored parts.
Okay, done.
Now look at the rectangle. What fraction of it have you colored purple as well as shaded?
Well, I have first divided the rectangle into 5 equal parts, and then further subdivide them into halves. There are altogether 10 parts. Out of the 10 parts, 3 parts are colored purple and shaded. Thus, 3 over 10 of the rectangle is colored purple and shaded.
Well, that is exactly what happens when we take half times 3/5.
I see. So that is what multiplying two fractions is about.
Now that you have understood what it is about, can you multiply 16 over 21 times 7/8?
Let me see. Firstly, I simplify the fractions by dividing the numerators and the denominators of both fractions by a common factor. The common factor of 16 and 8 is 8. When I divide the numerator 16 by 8, I get 2. And when I divide the denominator 8 by 8, I get 1. Secondly, I further simplify the fractions. The common factor of 7 and 21 is 7. When I divide the numerator 7 by 7, I get 1. And when I divide the denominator 21 by 7, I get 3. Now, I get the fractions 2 over 3 times 1 over 1. I simply multiply them and I get the answer 2 over 3.
Excellent work! TurboGo, let's revise what we have learned today.
I have learned how to multiply a fraction by a whole number. There are 2 methods to doing that. Method 1. I multiply the numerator of the fraction with the whole number. I then take the number and divide it by the denominator to get the answer. Method 2. I make the whole number into a fraction by dividing it by 1. I then simplify the fractions by dividing the numerators and the denominators of both fractions by a common factor. Finally, I multiply the simplified fractions to get the answer. By knowing how to multiply a fraction with a whole number, I can easily convert units of measurement. I have also learned how to multiply 2 fractions and what it is about. Like in method 2, I simplify the fractions by dividing the numerators and the denominators of both fractions by a common factor. Finally, I multiply the simplified fractions to get the answer.
Very good, TurboGo. That's all for now. Goodbye.